Islamic State group video.
That's right. He's been identified as Maxime Hauchard, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of shock in the French press today. So he was identified by the prosecutor of Paris, François Moulin, who confirmed there was at least one Frenchman in that video that shows the severed head of the U.S. aid worker Peter Kassig and the beheading of 16 captured Syrian military servicemen. So you can see here the front page of 20 Minutes. There's a screen grab from that video with that photo of who has been identified as Maxime Jihadist. So that's the front page of 20 Minutes. There's also a similar front page on the front page of Aujourd'hui en France today. That's not quite it. I'll get back to that article later, but Aujourd'hui en France on their front page has even harsher words. They talk about the executioner with, once again, that photo of the 22-year-old man.
So what do we know about him so far, then?
Well, Le Parisien actually tells us what we know so far. 22-year-old Maxime Hauchard is from Rouen in Normandy. Le Parisien says he started out as a normal kid in a stereotypical French family. He converted to Islam at the age of 17, alone and on the internet, and he's actually been on the radar of French intelligence services for quite some time. Aujourd'hui en France says he's a familiar face for them. He initially came to their attention in 2011 after he joined radical groups and followed radical websites. And Le Parisien reports that in October 2012 and May 2013, he actually traveled to Mauritania to study in Salafist schools, and he was disappointed, according to Aujourd'hui en France, because he found them to be too moderate, not radical enough for his liking. Aujourd'hui en France reports that he left for Syria in August 2013 under the pretext of working for a humanitarian organization. Since then, he's been very active online, posting photos on Facebook, for instance, selfies, saying that he's awaiting death with joy.
And of course, he's not the only French citizen reportedly fighting with the jihadists in the region, is he?
Absolutely. Libération focuses on the fact that hundreds of French citizens are reportedly fighting in the region, and they're not the only foreigners, of course. And Libération says, you know, this is not a new phenomenon. Often foreigners do go abroad to fight jihad. For instance, this happened in Afghanistan, Bosnia, Chechnya, etc. But the scale of what's happening in Syria and Iraq is unprecedented. According to Libération, never has a jihad attracted so many volunteers. Since the beginning of the conflict in Syria, an estimated 15,000 foreign fighters from 80 countries are fighting alongside the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda. And actually, Libération focuses on the work of an American center that specialized in studying these jihadists. And the profile, the typical profile, is of isolated and solitary lone wolves who have become self-radicalized via the internet.
You found a piece in L'Opinion, haven't you? This is looking at recruitment that takes place mainly online.
That's right. The internet is a prized hunting ground for jihadists, according to L'Opinion. And one man in particular is in the crosshairs of French intelligence services. His name is Omar Diaby. He's also known as Omar Homsen. He's, according to L'Opinion, quite a guru who's become one of the main headhunters for French jihadists. So he was born in Dakar in Senegal, but grew up in Nice, where he actually spent some time in jail for armed robbery, and he's become a real internet superstar for these jihadists. He has put all sorts of apocalyptic videos online, according to L'Opinion, which have been instrumental in recruiting dozens of French citizens.
And finally, something completely different. Valérie Trierweiler is back in the French press. This is for her tell-all book about her time as First Lady at the Élysée Palace,
That's right. That book is called Thank You for the Moment. Now, I told you a lot about this book back in September when it was released here in France. It became an instant bestseller. 600,000 copies have been sold so far. Well, if you've been itching to read it, you can finally read it in other languages. It's coming out in English, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Chinese, Russian, Polish, even Vietnamese. It's coming out in 11 languages in total. And Aujourd'hui en France says the Élysée Palace is holding its breath. 10,000 copies have already been pre-ordered online. What's interesting, though, is that Valérie Trierweiler didn't do any kind of promotion when the book came out here in France. It kind of sold itself. And now she's going to do promo in Britain, actually. The BBC has managed to get her first interview, which has already been recorded, and it's going to be broadcast on Monday in Newsnight. So you Brits are going to get the first juicy details coming right out of her mouth. And, well, I guess the Élysée Palace isn't going to be so happy about all that new coverage it's going to be getting.
No, exactly. I was given that book in French by my French teacher to read because she said it was quite easy, but I can cheat now, can I?
You can
I can just go, I can read it in English. Probably wouldn't help my French though, would it? Thanks a lot, Flo. Flo Villeneuve here on France 24. If you're just tuning in to today's Live from Paris, going to bring you up to date now with